Get the comfy chair!
Welcome to this episode of The Good, the Bad and the Odd with your host, Marcus Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello there.
Right, so Comfy Chair now. The last Comfy Chair we did was like a whole review of 2022, so it was quite expansive. Let's put it that way. But we got some stuff to talk about. So we're and also we're recording this later than usual in the month. So we're kind of not only doing January, we're doing quite a bit of February too in this one. And it might be the next one time we record. We'll be in April. And we'll just do more, we'll see. We'll see how we go. All right, then. So, okay. So, stuff we've been watching in, January and February. Do you mind if I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of mine's TV, but I've got a few films mixed in too. And documentary, even. First one is this one, which is The Munsters. I watched the new Munsters film.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I really went in with very low expectations. And I have to say, it wasn't great, but it was okay, and it was fun.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the cast were very good. And where it was falling over for me was, I don't think it was a combination of directing and editing. I'm not quite sure. They kind of didn't edit to the beats of the comedy very well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So each scene felt a little too baggy.
Yeah.
But the actual vibe was good, and it was colourful, and it was fun, and it was the guy doing Herman was pretty good. No one's ever gonna top Fred Gwynne or Al Lewis or even Yvonne De Carlo. It's just not going to happen. So you got to kind of go in with that expectation. It felt a step above. They redid The Munsters a few times, didn't they? With different casts.
Yeah.
It felt a step above any of the other versions I've seen. There's even a weird one with, I think they only did a pilot in the end called Mockingbird Lane or something, where it had Eddie Izzard as Grandpa, which was weird, or something like that. It wasn't good.
Be funny, but I'm guessing not.
I saw it and it wasn't good, and I kind of understand why. I would have continued watching it if they'd made it a series, though. Having said that, but this was fun. It's just because of Sherry Moon Zombie, she gets a lot of flack because she's married to Rob Zombie, but I've always thought she was pretty good, and she was quite good as Lily in this, but she was kind of channeling this weird lilting way of talking. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's a character called Aunt Martha in a film called Sleepaway Camp, who is a very kind of theatrical character, and she kind of reminded me of that. One thing I did like is Richard Brake. Richard Brake is a guy we've covered a few times, right? He was he was the chemist in Mandy. He was that guy.
Okay, yeah.
He was also the sort of skeevy, slightly sinister Marine in Doom.
Okay.
That's going back a bit. I realise that, but
I'm looking at his theatrical performances. He was Joe Chill in Batman Begins.
Yes, he was.
He's been in a lot, but not as a major character.
That's right. And I've always kind of liked him.
He's the Night King.
He's kind of, yes, he's kind of a slightly more lanky, sinister version of Jack Nicholson is kind of how he plays sometimes. And in fact, he is in another film I'm going to talk about later, funnily enough, and a completely different kind of character. And now he plays two characters in this. One is the guy that actually makes Herman, and I can't remember the character's name, but he's not. It's okay. It's okay in that. But the other one is he basically plays a Nosferatu called Orlok. And he's amazing because he goes on a date with Lily. This is the whole story is Herman and Lily falling in love and that goofy stuff, right? But we see Grandpa, or, Grandpa, it's not Grandpa Monster, but her father is encouraging her to sort of find love. And so she goes out on dates, and one of them, she goes out on a date with Orlok. who just spends the day talking about his favourite rats. He shows her pictures of rats, saying, this is Derek, he's a hoot, and he just keeps going on and on about his rats. It's kind of funny, and there's a lot of musical stuff in this too. There's like one called Disco Vampire. You have to kind of see it. I don't want to spoil it too much, but you have to see it. But it wasn't great, but it was fun, and I kept thinking, I've watched quite a lot of deep and quite serious and well-made films in the last 6 weeks, but The Munsters is kind of sticking with me.
Yeah.
And I quite liked it. I thought when I was watching it, this is just going to make me wish I was watching the original series. And it was. There was some of that, but you know what? I enjoyed this anyway. I thought it was really fun, and I quite liked the cast and how it went on. And there's all sorts going on. The guy that played Grandpa played it kind of quite different from Al Lewis, but it was good. It worked. But the guy doing Herman was kind of doing the old Fred Gwynne, the goofy side of Fred Gwynne's kind of Herman. The laughing, and in this is kind of it becomes like a sort of I don't know, like not a rock, but a musical sort of.
Okay.
Everyone's a famous musician, and he's trying to impress. But it's funny when he sees Lily and he's trying to be all cool, and he says, "Excuse me." She says, "Do you think we could go out?" And he goes, "Excuse me a minute. I just got to take my diary," and he shuts the door, and you hear him behind the door going, "Oh boy, oh boy," very Hermione kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it is also funny, and I don't think anyone reviewing it's picked this up, is they sometimes have some black and white segments as well, so he looks like the original show a bit, and it's not done in an overt way, but it is funny because he was meant to be green. But they only made the black and white ones, didn't they? Apart from the movie they made, Months to Go Home. So it is kind of funny to see him green, really bright green, a lot in most of the scenes, in the colourful scenes. But it was just colourful and fun. It was kind of a kid's film, really. There was nothing in it that... And I also did laugh at one point, when we had the earlier Orlok going on about his favourite rats and how lovely his rats are. There's one point, Grandpa's just reading the newspaper and the headline is, "Orlok eaten by a horde of rats."
Okay.
Which made me laugh. That gave me the biggest laugh of the film, actually. I did laugh a lot when I saw that. So, The Munsters, it was fun. What else can I say? Anyway, back to you.
Okay, so my first one is, and I may have actually mentioned this before, I'm not 100% sure. It's a video game. I got it over Christmas, but I don't think I mentioned it I'm not sure if I mentioned it in our last one, called Ultra Kill.
No,
it's
you haven't
possibly
mentioned
the
that.
most. It's possibly the most mental shooter I have ever partaken in. Like
really?
It's
is it a
really
first-person shooter?
Yeah, first-person shooter. You're given 3 notes: mankind is dead, blood is fuel, hell is full.
Right.
And you're dropped into a level. It's like, okay, what's going on here? You start to clue on that you are a robot. Blood is fuel. Your melee attacks heal you. Your melee attacks can also deflect anything that's coming towards you. So you start punching like fireballs back at these demons that are attacking you.
This sounds great, actually.
And it's this insane, like... As the game goes on, it becomes more and more mental, but basically it's a robot shooting their way through hell, Doom style. You've got a lot of like movement utility, so you can basically fly if you're in a corridor. So as you jump off the walls, all the weapons very fun, very punchy. They all have an alt fire that's very funny. So the shotgun, you can keep pumping it to build up power.
Right.
And then if you time it right, you can punch the shotgun shell just as it comes out the gun and make it even more powerful.
Wow. This sounds amazing.
Yeah, the pistol, you can flip a coin, and if you shoot the coin, it deflects straight to the nearest enemy. So if someone's in cover, ding, straight down.
Wow, that's amazing. I just looked it up on Steam. Get this, its rating from 47,000 reviews is 10 out of 10.
Yep.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah, everyone loves this game because it's so insane.
I will probably be getting it after this call. Actually,
it's very fast paced. Like if you had trouble with Doom, like the recent Doom games, this is going to be a bit past you. But it's a really fun game. I genuinely think everyone should give it a try.
I'll tell you what I use the Doom game for. It's when I haven't got much time, because I feel like playing 50 minutes of Doom feels like about playing 2 hours of any other game. It's so full on, and this sounds even stronger. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's just. Yeah. That's how it feels. Whereas you can play another game and like 2 hours is 2 hours, or sometimes you play for 2 hours and it feels like it's flown by. But there's something about Doom and probably this game that you just feel completely satisfied after quite a short time playing.
Yeah.
Because it's so fun and full on, and you feel like, yep, I'm done. That'll do me. So if you only got 15 or 20 minutes, it's I like Doom for that purpose, right? But yeah, this sounds terrific. I'm going to watch a bit of gameplay though, just to make sure.
I'd advise just checking it before you do, because it's a very frantic game, very fun.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. Okay, my next one is kind of in the same realm as the Monsters, really, in many respects, and it is a TV show. It's season 4. Well, I'm happy to talk about all seasons, but season 4 in particular, I finished of What We Do in the Shadows. This series is really good. I mean, it just doesn't drop in quality whatsoever. It just, and they keep doing really left field kind of stuff, and you think, oh, that's a bit, is this going to work? It totally does. There was a big event at the end of season 3, right, where a lot of people were saying, it's shit in the bed now, Yeah. But man, it totally works. What they did with that totally works. I really, really, really like this. And I don't know which one's my favourite. I rotate between Nandor, Nadja, and what's his name? Laszlo. Yeah. And even Guillermo makes me laugh too. I like Guillermo's accidental vampire slaying skills all the way through. They're just super funny, and the consequences of that. Season 4, just to give you a taste, the Blood Rave in Blade. Well,
I've watched this season. I know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And Nadja's obsessed with trying to recreate that. That really makes me laugh. I think Nadja is the one, because she just comes up with some really funny T-shirt like slogans. The things she says sometimes is just completely nuts. They've done it all wrong. What should we do? We'll kill them all. Is what she's saying, her response to everything. It's very funny. And the new character, they're always introducing new characters. There's like a genie in season 4. And
there's a little like pen clicker.
He clicks his pen. He's like he's like a note taker, and he's always trying to subvert the wishes, which is a typical genie thing, isn't it?
Well, he's not even trying it. It's just everyone expects him to. So when they're like, they start like trying to subvert it, he's like, okay, this is a bit fun.
Yeah. So What We Do in the Shadows, probably the best comedy currently still running, I would say. Though I have to say, Ghosts, the BBC series, is a close second.
Yeah.
In this sort of sphere, but What We Do in the Shadows is kind of the Monsters of today in many respects, isn't it? Really, it's that kind of thing. Anyway, that's me. Back to you.
Okay. So I know this one. It's actually kind of weirdly still vampire themed. So a game came out recently called Vampire Survivors. It's this sort of roguelike, just sort of like live on the level for as long as you can, and you like keep getting power ups with level ups.
Okay.
But these power ups all stack in insane ways. So you might get a Bible, which causes like a book to sort of rotate around you, like hitting enemies, doing damage. But you also might get whips, which like starts to cause more damage around you, and then knives, which fire in any direction you're going. Magic bolts that will hit the nearest enemy, and these keep stacking. So you just keep getting more and more loot, and you end up with this insane like screen filled with particles and like Bibles flying everywhere, crosses like hitting everything. And it's all kind of a parody of the Castlevania series.
Right. Is it a third person?
It is a third person 2D
Oh,
like, sort of
walking
hack and
around
slash.
kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Old
it's a
school.
beat 'em up.
Old school.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds a bit like that. Oh, what was that game where you walked around as a robot and it fired in all directions? I mean, really old game. I can't remember what it's called.
Bomberman?
Something like that, yeah. I don't think it was. It
Mega
could have been.
Man.
Yes, Mega Man. That sounds
Yeah.
right. Sounds a bit like that, a vampire version.
Yeah,
of
no,
that.
but not 100%. But yeah,
Nah.
it's a pixel art sort of style. It's really fun. It's a good like time killer if you're sort of like if you're watching like some of the bad movies I've had to watch recently with my friends.
Oh yeah.
Then yeah, it's good to sort of like slap it on and just sort of play on the side.
So you what you do? Play it on the Switch or something?
No, I play it on PC.
PC.
I think it's
okay.
available on Switch. I'm not 100% sure.
It sounds like the sort of
Just-
game that do well on a Steam Deck or something as well, doesn't it? It sounds
Yeah.
like that kind of, cool.
Mm.
Right.
Okay.
My next one is a series that's on Netflix, an anthology series, horror anthology series that landed on Netflix not that long ago. I watched the first one for the anthologic, strand of Good, Bad, and Odd, but I really enjoyed the first one a lot. In fact, I've done a whole episode on the first one, which I've forgotten the name of the first episode. Let me just look it up so I can just pimp my anthologic stuff. But essentially, it's 8 episodes presented by Guillermo del Toro. So he actually talks at the beginning about that. It's a bit like, Rod Serling or Alfred Hitchcock. That it's that kind of thing, telling you what's going on. And he's got a big elaborate wooden cabinet. He walks around and he'll open a drawer and pull out one thing that's about the story. It's that kind of thing. Yeah, the first one was called Lot 36, and that one I went to in some depth, so I won't go on too much about that, but I really, really liked the first one. And essentially what he's done is recruited various horror or thriller or significant directors to be involved. So each one is directed by a director you may or may not know. For example, there's a story directed by... Hold on, I need to look this up. Panos Cosmatos, who did Mandy, for example.
Okay.
Or one by Jennifer Kent, who did The Babadook. It's that kind of thing, right? And they're kind of... It's almost like a modern version of Night Gallery in some respects, because they're eerie horror stories that don't end well often, They range from, I think, 45 minutes to an hour and 5 minutes each. And they're really, really cool. Some of them are original stories. A lot of them come from stories by Guillermo del Toro. And then someone's taken them and written a screenplay around his ideas and directed it. So it's kind of fun. But he did there's a couple of Lovecraft ones in there too.
Okay.
Which is very Night Gallery. Night Gallery did a few Lovecrafty ones. So, what I really like about this, and I did love each one, it was kind of, there was none of them that were bad at all. They're all really well directed. They look great. They're well acted. They cast well. But some of the stories didn't work for me for various reasons. I wasn't scared or even close to it and things like that. And some of them were pretty cool as well, So it was, and I was a bit annoyed about one of the Lovecraft ones because it really, really took liberties with the original story. But that's just me because I knew the story. But I'll tell you that they did 2 Lovecraft stories. Pickman's Model. Now that was interesting because the main character, I don't know if you know the story, but the main character was played by Crispin Glover, the dad from Back to the Future, the slightly creepy guy in real life.
Yeah.
And he plays this artist. And Pickman's Model, the Night Gallery did it too. It's kind of interesting. Basically, he's an artist who comes up with these weird sort of Goya-esque sort of pictures. A guy sees one of the guys who is doing art with him recognises his talent and becomes sort of intrigued and kind of gets involved with him, and that it goes on. And the other one they did was called Dreams in the Witch House. Now that was interesting because they had Rupert Grint, and he did a good turn because I've always thought he's not a great actor, but he was pretty good in this. He's definitely developed as an actor from some of the things I've seen him in. But I was a bit annoyed because they really stretched the story and made it almost like, well, that isn't the story at all. But that was me just being nitty, you know. Yeah. It was perfectly good as an episode of TV. So yeah, it was a really interesting 8 episodes, and I hope it gets. It got really high on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm hoping it gets the second season. But it was nice to see a very cool anthology show, you know. And I have to say, I'd say 6 out of the 8 I really liked, and the other 2, I've got no particular thing to say it's bad because it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It just didn't engage me as much as the others, you know. So yeah, good series on Netflix. That. Back to you.
Okay, so my next one is looking back to vampires. So those bad movies I mentioned, those were two of the Twilight films.
Oh, which 2?
It was New Moon and Eclipse. So
I've never seen either of these.
Yeah, so you know how the whole thing was, Team Edward, Team Jacob, who's going to be picked? It's actually picked very early on who is going to... Like, she decides very early on it's going to be Edward. And then at the end of Eclipse, she's like, oh no, I've just agreed to marry him. I now kind of feel stuff for Jacob. So it only starts after it should have all wrapped up.
Wow. How weird.
Okay. Yeah, but these films are boring as hell. So
yeah. I'm not surprised. And
also, they've stopped the weird blue filter that was over everything in the first one. So now everything is just shot better. This is basically, think really boring romance where the woman is basically getting abused, but is also awful as well. So, like, she's terrible. She's really bad. So the second film is basically Edward, the vampire, leaves because she gets hurt during a party, and he's like, I can't protect you. Nothing can be done. Yeah, and he bails, goes to Brazil, I think it is. And she spends like 3 months just sitting in a room on her own, not going to school, not doing anything. Her dad, who is probably the best character, is basically like, okay, if you don't stop, you're gonna have to go live with your mother because this is too much. Like, this whole town is just bringing you bad vibes. We need to stop it. You're gonna need to move back to, I think it's Florida.
Right.
So she starts hanging out with Jacob, the local friendly guy who turns into a werewolf. They very comically. They actually do explain, like, why. Not really explain, but basically, when the werewolves change, they rip out of their clothes. This is their reasoning for having lots of Native American men, or Native American-looking men, I don't know much about the actors involved here, walking around shirtless, flexing at all times. But they're like, oh yeah, he'll just rip all his clothes as soon as he turns, but whenever he turns back, they've got jean shorts on.
Nice. Yeah. It's a bit like the Incredible Hulk, right?
Basically. But the premise of the second movie is she figures out that if she does something risky, some sort of spectre of Edward appears. So she starts doing more risky stuff so that she can see him, including like riding a motorbike with no like protective gear on, jumping off a cliff, and then just running around with the werewolves. So.
It's kind of tricky because, like, a lot of teenage girls like this franchise, right? And you know, it's easy to shit on them because of that. But honestly, it sounds like a self-hate journal.
Yeah,
doesn't it? You know, of someone locked in some sort of inappropriate, not inappropriate, just a dysfunctional relationship with an abuser.
Yes,
that's kind of
that is exactly what this feels like.
Yeah,
but there's like a sort of side thing. Every vampire has their own unique power. For example, Edward's is he can read people's minds. He can't read Bella's. Me and my friends like to joke because there's nothing actually in there. But there's one that can see the future. She gets like brief flashes of it. So she sees Bella doing this jump off a cliff I mentioned previously.
Right.
Bella's fine after all this. But when Edward tries to call Bella's place, Jacob picks up and says that, oh yeah, her dad's at the funeral because, like, during a side thing where the werewolves were chasing a vampire, they happened across her dad's hunting trip, and his friend died of a heart attack.
Right.
So he's seen Bella is jumping off a cliff, and her dad is prepping a funeral. He has come to the conclusion with no further information. He hangs up, and he's like, "She's dead. I gotta go to our cult in Italy and commit suicide."
Oh my god! It's like Romeo and Juliet, but bad.
No, this is how absurd it is. The opening is her lying in bed with a copy of Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, telegraphed.
Yeah, they go to the cult in Italy. They sort everything out. The cult kind of wants Edward to join them. The cult leader is Michael Sheen, which is
nice. Well, that's got
yeah.
Put out at least 2 notches.
Hilarious. Man could not devour the scenery more. Like like if you've ever seen the picture of him sort of stood on like a balcony in like Regency era clothing, that's from this.
He did something similar in the Underworld series, you know. I'm sure he did.
Yeah, but basically they figure out that no one's vampire power really works on Bella. Because again, like, head empty, we reckon. But they do. The frustrating thing about Twilight is they occasionally do really cool stuff. So the one scene in this where there's a cool thing that happens is as they're leaving the cult's based in like a big castle, because of course it is, in the middle of Italy. They see that a tour group is going the other way, and they're like being led by a vampire, and you see, the throne room is the last location.
Okay.
Full of vampires, and you just start hearing screaming as they're leaving.
Right.
And it's like, that's cool. That's fun. Like, that's a neat vampire thing.
Right.
Okay, so Eclipse, there's a side character that's been hunting Bella for the past 2 movies. That is now coming to a head. She's made an army of new vampires. The vampire clan that Edward is part of now needs to train and make peace with the wolves to try and like bring this to a to fight this new threat.
Right.
There's a lot of sulking. Not much happens. For most of it. And then we get to the ending, which is an insanely awesome fight scene between multiple vampires. Vampires in this setting are made of they're like crystalline. So in this PG-13, they can just punch people's heads off and rip their arms off.
Nice.
Because it all turns to crystal anyway.
Okay.
So they're like doing these Mortal Kombat like back snaps and everything during this action sequence, and then it keeps cutting back to Edward standing on a cliff going, "She's coming. You're being hunted." It's like, come on, man. Like, we had a cool thing going and you cut away from it.
Yeah, okay. Would you recommend these films?
To watch for fun?
Yeah.
Yes. To watch as like a serious viewing experience? No. Good God, no.
You know what? It's weird because the first time I saw Twilight, it was like, God, this is the worst film I've ever seen. But I have watched it again since, and each time I feel a little less like hatred towards it. I could happily just sit and watch it.
It is astounding how bad of a performance every single actor gives. These are very good actors.
Yeah, they are.
Like Robert Pattinson, amazing actor. Yeah. Good God, he looks like he's going to vomit whenever he sees Bella.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? I mean, Kristen Stewart. I mean, she was. Yeah. I saw her in a film from about 3 or 4 years ago called Under. I want to say Underworld, but it wasn't that. It was like it was a sea thing. You know, she was under the sea. Oh, what was it called? I can't remember. She was really good. And I watched a Cronenberg film called Crimes of the Future, which was only made last year, which was a terrible film. A right load of bollocks, but she was in it and she was good. So, you know, I think I rate Kristen Stewart as an actress now. But it's only in the last 4 or 5 years when I've seen her in other stuff.
But it's like,
I mean, she was good in that. What was it? The one that began with Z. When she was a teenager. The one that was like Jumanji, but in space.
Oh, Zathura.
Yeah. She was decent in that when she was a teenager.
Good in that.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of other good actors in this that are just like, what happened? Like,
weird, isn't it?
Like Bryce Dallas Howard is the villain in this one, and she's just awful. Like, they're all awful.
Weird, isn't it? Weird.
Yeah. Right. Again, obligatory cool thing. One of the vampires of the like main group explains their backstory, which is they were like in, I think it's the 30s or the 40s, maybe the 20s, but basically they got assaulted by their husband to be, as well as his friends, and got turned into a vampire after being found in the street. And she then went on a killing spree through the friends, and her last kill was the husband. And we just see we don't see any of that. We just she's explaining it, and with shots of the husband freaking out in a hotel room. He's like pushing himself into a corner, trying to run away. Right. And like she bursts in, she's wearing a full like wedding dress, and she just gets this huge grin, and you see the fangs, and it just cuts back to her in the modern day, and she goes, "I was a lot more theatrical back then." And it's like, why can't we watch that film?
I want to watch that film.
Such a cool
I want to watch
film.
that film.
Please let me see that. Like one of them is like a American Civil War guy. Admittedly, he was a Confederate, so this is probably not great. But like he was like turned into a vampire to lead a vampire army because he was like a major, and he like rebelled and tried to like go out on his own, right? And eventually turned vegan. It's like, that's cool. Do that film instead of this. Every character has such cool backstories except the current situation.
Yeah. Right.
Like, this world can be cool, but it's not. So.
Oh dear. All right.
Yeah.
Twilight. Wow. I can tell it deeply affected you.
Yeah. Like, there's been a lot of arguments in the group chat.
Are you carrying on with the series?
We're going to finish off the last two. Which, from what I gather, the first part is basically a whole anti-abortion thing.
Okay.
And the second part is let's gather everyone for a fight that doesn't happen. So,
oh, good. All right. Anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It sounds. All right. Okay. My next one is also is another TV show. This one's on Disney Plus, and we may have talked about this before off the air. I can't remember, but I feel like this does not get much of a mention these days in Star Wars circles, and I'm quite surprised. It's Tales of the Jedi.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, it's a 6-part series, and really it's 3 episodes about Ahsoka and 3 episodes about Count Dooku, but it's bits of their lives we haven't seen. It's filling in the blanks. One really interesting one, you'll dig this a lot in terms of Star Wars, is you kind of find out how Ahsoka survived the Order 66. What happened, what events led up to her being able to survive it. And it's a really interesting way of showing that. But also seeing the stuff where Dooku, before he became leader of the Separatists, is really cool as well. I don't want to say much more because I don't want to spoil it. I think it's best just to watch it. And they're only like 15 minutes each. They're not long. These, but it's a really solid series. I was thinking about it today because the Mandalorian season 3 drops at the beginning of March.
Yeah, it drops in 3 days from
I honestly, it caught me. I was intending to watch all of Mandalorian season 1 and 2 again, and the half of Boba Fett that deals with the Mandalorian before starting season 3, but I don't know when the time's gone. We're only 3 days away now, and I wanted to start weeks ago. So I will be properly cramming Mandalorian, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great show. Because the Mandalorian won't drop all in week 1, so I'm kind of comfortable just letting it build up a bit while I catch up with 1 and 2 and Boba Fett again. So I probably won't watch it for the first 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll start cramming. But I don't really want to say too much about it, but Tales of the Jedi is a big recommend if you like Star Wars in any way.
Okay.
It might be the best thing since what's been Mandalorian season 2?
yeah.
Yeah. It's the best Star Wars stuff since Mandalorian. Well, actually, it's the second half of Boba Fett, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's really good. Really good.
Yeah. Okay.
And it ties in Ahsoka to, some of the other stuff we've seen as well in many ways. So it's definitely worth seeing Tales of the Jedi. Yeah. That's me.
Okay, so my next one is actually also a Star Wars thing. It's The Bad Batch season 2. Now
I haven't called this yet.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's at its best. It does have some really good episodes, but ironically, they're all episodes where the Bad Batch doesn't actually appear. So
that's weird, right? I mean, how many episodes are there? I thought there was only like 6.
I think there's they've put out 6 more, I think.
Okay, so there's 12. Is there or something?
Yeah, let me just check right here, make sure it's all good. So they put out. What's the episode list? Okay. So we're currently up to 10 episodes in season 2, and there was 16 in the first season. Right. So they're still kind of recovering from the horrendous bombardment of Kamino, which, as it turns out, destroyed the planet and pretty much wiped out the Kaminoans.
Wow.
So they still have a senator. She's completely despondent. She's like, I don't care. There is no people. So, so while we follow up on the sort of shenanigans that the Bad Batch are going into, we cut back to what's his name, Crosshair, the one that's still with the Empire, who gets assigned to a mission with Commander Cody, from the Clone Wars. So it's like okay, we're seeing characters for the first time again for a while. Yeah. It's a really good episode about them basically going to a planet, basically saying, okay, you're under the thrall of the Empire, and the fighters going, no, we're not. And then they show up with a lot more force and start killing people, and it's like, okay, I guess we're under the Empire now.
Yeah.
So
I find out with Star Wars, though, you can never quite predict what's going to be the good episodes. You think, this one's got this character, so it's going to be a good one. I still, to this day, unironically say that one of my favourite episodes in season 1 of Clone Wars centred around C-3PO and
C-3PO and Jar Jar. Yeah,
Jar Jar. I cannot believe it was such a good episode. It's so weird that those two characters were in the best episode, in my opinion, that is. It sounds like Bad Batch. Yeah, I've got to get to the Bad Batch. There's a few
really
good
episode dealing with basically the guy who did bombard Kamino, Admiral Rampart. He's been pushing for the Imperial Army made of stormtroopers, not clone troopers. And so there's been this whole thing where senators have been kind of commissioning the Bad Batch to get evidence to help them, and they finally get their big push. It's like, okay, something sketchy is here. You destroy Kamino. We have video proof from your ship log that shows it. And at the last second, Palpatine shows up and just sweeps all the progress they've made away, and blames everything, gets everything pinned on Rampart, and gets his army. It's like, oh, he just won. They just won. Admittedly, you know that they're gonna win because it's a prequel. But it's just seeing it the past 3 episodes of effort just get swept by the villain. It's just it's so good.
Okay, well, I need to get to that.
But then it cuts back to, the Bad Batch is street racing. It's like,
yeah.
Okay. Can we go back to that other thing that was really good, please?
I mean, there has been some great Star Wars stuff in the last few years. Not in the films, though. The season 7 of Clone Wars was amazing.
Yeah.
Mando. And Tales of the Jedi. And Bad Batch. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, back to me then, right?
Okay.
This one's another kind of horror film. It's basically, it feels a bit like Chucky on steroids, made for the 20s, right? It's called Megan.
Megan, yeah.
With a 3 instead of an E. Now, I went in not expecting much. I thought it might be a bit twee. And I didn't realise this. There's a PG-13 cut and a slightly harder cut. And I think, pretty sure I've seen the harder cut. Yeah. This was much, much better than I was expecting, I have to say. I really enjoyed this. There's some real fun stuff. It starts off creepy and weird. It gets weird, creepy and weird. And actually, it's really well written, really well acted. There's a little girl in it who... I'm trying to think. She was in something else. And she was... Did you see The Haunting of Hill House?
No,
I
didn't.
TV series. She played the younger version of a character called Nell. And she was good in that, this little actress. And she's really good in Megan as the girl that's grieving, but sort of bonds with this, AI doll. But of course, technology, right? We all know what happens when AI goes bad. Yeah. I don't want to spoil it. I would recommend going in mostly cold, but I have to say, my favourite bit of the whole thing is near the end, where a guy suddenly sees Megan the doll and sort of says, "What are you doing here?" And Megan just basically, it's a paper cutter, but she pulls it out and it looks like a saber, a proper, sort of razor sharp sword. And the guy goes, runs. It just made me laugh that happened. It's very Chucky. It's very Chucky, that bit.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was really good and fun, and I enjoyed this one a lot. I would recommend it because I think most people will probably, even especially in the horror community, think, But honestly, it was really fun and really good. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I have been planning to watch this with my friends.
You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it.
Okay, so are you all set with that one?
Yep.
Okay, so my next thing is actually an anime series called Trigun Stampede. It's currently airing, so I couldn't actually explain the full story, and I'm not going to spoiler later episodes. But the premise is basically there's this reporter called Meryl, who's with a traveling companion, Roberto De Niro, one word. And they're chasing after the legendary outlaw Vash the Stampede, nicknamed the Human Typhoon.
Okay.
Who's supposed to destroy villages, wipe out the entire population. And then they happen to stumble across him just hanging upside down in the middle of the desert planet that they're on.
Okay.
So they get him, and they basically discover this man, an amazing gunslinger. He frequently does the trick of shooting bullets out the air. He's a complete pacifist. He will not hurt anyone. Right. Every fight he's involved in is a fight to stalemate and stop everyone. And he tries to talk pretty much everyone down.
Right.
And it's basically the ongoing tragedy of being him, because his the reason he has this reputation is it's kind of hit a critical mass. So people come after him wherever he stays. They a huge fight ensues. All the people around him typically die. The village gets destroyed, and he has to move on.
Yeah.
And people just attribute it to him. So he goes to the next place, and people come after him for his insanely high bounty, and it kills all the people around him and destroys the village. So he has to move on. So he's built up this huge reputation, but he's a complete softie. And it's a semi-comedy, so there's a lot of funny shenanigans where they do stuff, but it's otherwise quite fairly serious. Because it delves a bit into the psychology of being Vash. So,
right. See, that sounds alright. I mean, is it dubbed or is it
I watch
subtitled?
It subtitled. It's probably coming out dubbed, but it's one thing you should know is it's all CG. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a really good one as well. Really well animated.
Oh, good. So, that's Crunchyroll. Do you watch it? Or something?
Yeah, Crunchyroll is the one.
Okay, cool. So. All right. Okay. My next one is another Netflix series, and funny enough, I did mention The Haunting of Hill House. This is by another series from Mike Flanagan called Midnight Mass. This is the most recent one. I think it finished in 2021. It might have been last year, but I can't remember. Midnight Mass, interesting series. A lot of people love this. A lot, not so sure. There's quite a lot of monologuing in it. It has to be said. There's a lot of characters give quite long monologues, most of which totally work and is totally appropriate. But there's one or two where you think, you're doing this for the sake of monologuing now, aren't you, Mr. Writer, Mike Flanagan? There's a one or two like that, but honestly, it twists and turns, really interesting. He's obviously, it's kind of a love letter to Stephen King. It's got a bit of a Salem's Lot vibe, but there's more to it than that. There's other Stephen King stories set on it's set on a small island community, and it's about belief and, you know, non-belief and living with guilt, and there's quite major underlying themes within it, but it all comes down to someone's brought something bad to the island in the end, and think that they've brought something good to the island. Let's put it that way. And I don't want to spoil it anymore. I think most people probably know the basic what goes on, but I'm not entirely sure, so I'm not going to say. But it's really well acted. A couple of the main actors in it are so good, really, really good. Looks good. It's on Netflix again, so it's probably easy to consume, and each episode I think goes from something like 45 minutes to maybe an hour and 10 for the very longest ones, but most of them are less than an hour, and it's quite a heartfelt, engaging horror drama. Okay. That's probably the best way to put it. I won't say more than that, other than the acting superb.
Okay, yeah, I'll see that to watch. Okay, so my next thing is actually an expansion to a game. I've been playing through Final Fantasy XIV again, the hit MMO that you can actually play for free. I know I've said that last time I talked about it. It's because it's a bit of that whole spiel is a bit of a meme. This sort of expansion is called Shadowbringers. The premise is that your character, the hero of light, has been sent to a world where light won. Good job. Everything is destabilized. Light magic is now filled everywhere. It's eternally day. No one can sleep.
Horrible.
The world has been consumed by this thing called the Empty, which is just a vast white sand desert, and the only surviving places are ringed by these giant crystalline wall where the light has been stopped. And your character is brought to this world. And it's the most bleak setting where everything is in broad daylight and with very colourful hues. It's the most bleak thing I've ever seen. Good lord. They did this very well. But the whole premise of the thing is you've got to basically bring balance back to this place called the First. And you start that by finding one of these things called light wands, which are light magic, basically, made manifest into a creature called a Sin Eater. When you kill your first one, it's probably one of the most cathartic, I'm the goddamn hero video game bits, where you take in the power and you just sort of look up and just throw their hands up, and the sky gets cleaved in half, and there's just night beyond it. You see the sky being pushed back. Right. And all these characters who have lived for 200 years in eternal day are just oh God, what is going what? What? People are dropping to their knees in the streets, and it's the hero of Shadow has come. Right. My heroes of darkness. It's we're doing this? Okay, yeah. I like this. It's a really fun story. I'm most of the way through it, or so I'm told by people who have played through all of it. But it's a really fun. I do highly recommend Final Fantasy XIV overall. This is a really fun expansion, but do not rush to this. Right, you would miss out a lot of really good stuff. So
yeah. Oh well. Okay. Yeah. Cool. What was that on PC? Or?
I played on PC. I know you can get it on PS4 and PS5.
Okay. Cool.
As far as I'm aware, that's all of them, I think. So
right. My next one is another horror film from 2022. So I've done a few here. I am cramming a lot of 2022 horror films at the minute, and I'm trying to sort of catch up. For some reason, I sort of didn't watch many horror films during 2022, and it's kind of there's lots. There's so many, and there's some really good ones. And this one is a particularly good one. It's called Barbarian. Have you heard of this one?
It sounds familiar. I think I've seen like a hokey 80s film with that name, so probably not the one you're talking about.
No, this one's from 2022. It's a horror film. It's I don't want to say too much because of all the ones I've watched so far, in fact, maybe in the last 2 years of horror films, this one is the most unpredictable. You just do not... Things happen you just don't see coming. Let's put it that way. And it's really good for that. You know, sometimes it's like, yeah, he is. Yeah.
He terrifies me.
And the subtext, I took rather than the story, I took a little about the subtext, but I'll try and do it in such a way as, because it might sound a bit like bollocks if I'm not careful. It's really ultimately a sort of study of how horrible men can be. Deep down. And that sounds a very kind of, here we go. But honestly, they do it really well. There's a lot of things in here. And it's almost like the horrible men in the 80s were like that. Men who were horrible in the 2010s were like this. Men who are horrible now are like this, Like the 80s was way worse than the others. But even so, there's an element of, one guy who's done terrible things could look at another guy and think, at least I'm not like him. It's a bit like that, right? And that is real deep subtext I'm talking about. That is not obvious in the story whatsoever, but that is the conclusion. And it's one of those films you see and you go away and think about a bit and you think, oh, it's, there was talk about this. And then you can go and Google it and read up a bit and you think, oh, yeah, there was this. And it kind of goes on from there. But the twist and turns in this, because honestly, it does. I'll tell you the opening premise. And from it, you probably think, it's going to do this. And no, it doesn't. Whatever you think it's going to do, it doesn't do. Basically, a woman has got a job interview and she gets like an Airbnb, but when she turns up, there's someone already there. And he claims he also booked it, but on a different like Airbnb. And they kind of he says, well, do you want to come in? Because there'll be no hotels because there's a convention in town. And and he seems like a really nice guy, but it's like, is it?
It slowly gets worse, yeah.
Yeah. And you get more and more suspicious as it goes on. But it's really not a thing what happens you just couldn't predict. And it's a really interesting jump out, shit your pants kind of moments in it too. So it's a good horror film as well. But I really, really like this film. I think it was a rather excellent film. And it's got a lot to say without being preachy or like, oh God, have we got to listen to this shit again? There's none of that. It totally works as a film. It's not trying to preach a message over it being a horror film. Let's put it that way. It's, the best films are not just entertaining, they're emotionally engaging, but they often have a really deep and profound message. And this is perhaps on that kind of side of things. So, yeah, good film. Really good film. That's me.
Cool. Okay, so my next one is a bit odd. So me and my friend went to watch the new Puss in Boots film. Primarily because we saw the trailers and it's animated in the same style as Spider-Verse. And
how weird!
It's a really, really good film.
Oh, I'll have to catch this when it goes to satellite, I think.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend it. Like, it's just a good movie. So the premise is basically Puss has lived quite a while. He has in fact lived 8 of his 9 lives. He's on his last one.
Oh, it's like Doctor Who.
So, yeah, kind of actually. And it's all starting to catch up with him a bit. Yeah. So he retires for a while, but then he hears about the wishing star, the Last Wish titular. and goes out on his way to find it to try and wish back his 9 lives. Now, along the way, he encounters a dog by the name of Pepita, voiced by Harvey, what's his name? Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
And also his sort of romantic interest from the previous movie, Kitty Softpaws, voiced by Salma Hayek. And now they kind of form their own traveling trio, but they're also contested with the crime family of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, voiced by Florence Pugh, Olivia Colman, Ray Winston, and Samson Kayo. Which is
a hell of a voice cast.
Yeah, but get this: there's a third runner in this, Big Jack Horner, who is very angry that he just has a nursery rhyme and isn't a fairy tale. And he's voiced by John Mulaney.
Okay.
His whole shtick is he's completely reprehensible. He's complete human garbage. He's unapologetic.
I'll tell you what, the setup sounds great.
Yeah. It's really funny because there's a bit where he hangs around with Jiminy Cricket, who's for legal purposes they just call him the ethical bug. Who's he's voiced like Jimmy Stewart first of all, so he talks kind of like this.
Yeah.
And Jack Horner has this whole thing. It's this may have started with my backstory. I had just had loving parents, a thriving bakery industry, and good stability. Useless crap. It's okay. It's really funny. Genuinely, if you can look up the Jack Horner bits, they're amazing.
I want to say, it sounds really good. So, was you surprised that it wasn't in a Shrek style?
Yes, I knew it. I'd seen the trailers, and it got a lot of hype on the internet. Just because it was animated in the Spider-Verse style, shall we say for now? But it just turned out to be a really good movie. Special note to another character who's just the big bad wolf who shows up and is a bounty hunter after Puss's very high bounty.
Oh, sounds. This just sounds better and better. The more you say about it, the better.
It's voiced by a guy called Wagner Amura, who's really good. He's scary. He keeps showing up, and he is scary.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, this is definitely one I want to watch. Puss in Boots. Yeah.
Yeah, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish.
Okie doke. I've got one more on my list. This is a documentary for mine. It's on. I think it's on Shudder. Okay. It might be on just Prime, but I think it's on Shudder. And it's called Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched. And it's 3.5 hours, I think. It's a documentary about folk horror. So it begins by talking about where the ideas around folk horror come from. And then it starts to proceed to go through different stuff I've never heard of, which I really, really liked it. So the holy trinity of folk horror is Blood on Satan's Claw, Witchfinder General, and The Wicker Man. And it spends a fair bit of time with those to start with. And then it spirals off into its own thing. And it talks about movies from Norway and Japan. And it's amazing how many films, retroactively, granted, fit into this category. There's films from the 50s, from Norway and things like that. And I was impressed so much by this documentary that I went and bought the box set, which isn't cheap, that kind of accompanies it, which has about, I think, 12 different movies from around the world that do basically a folk horror stories. And it's interesting because there's quite a lot. I think there's 2 things in it which are basically TV shows from Britain, one-off episodes of TV shows from Britain, like a Play for Today kind of thing. Which I watched one of them before I finished this documentary or bought the box set, because I was interested. I think I saw it mentioned in this documentary fairly early on, so I actually watched it. But I watched the documentary over several days, if you know what I mean. Half an hour and a half, and it totally works that way because it was one of those ones that suits stopping and starting. Some documentaries are like that. Yeah, and there was one called Robin Redbreast that was like, came out in 1970. And honestly, it feels like a definite precursor stroke inspiration for The Wicker Man. The whole vibe and feel of it. It's kind of quite interesting to see that. Because Wicker Man feels wholly original and of its own thing, doesn't it? But yeah, so there was that. But honestly, great documentary, especially if you like horror or if you're interested in folk horror. There's been some great long-form documentaries in the last few years about horror as a whole thing. Really good ones, and this one's really good as well. And they show extended clips and stuff like that, so you kind of get a feel for what they're talking about. And some of the themes, the persecution of women, the sort of racial, not segregation, but sort of how different races interact within that sphere. And the whole thing of folk horror is, it's about location, and often it's the British countryside, but it could be any countryside in any country. It's usually a rural one, and a sense of weirdness. People often coming from cities coming into it and weird stuff happening, right? So yeah, really good documentary series on Shudder. That's me.
Okay. So my last one is actually going to be pretty brief. It's I've been playing Spyro, the Reunited trilogy. Just sort of in the downtime. Easy, fairly fun collectathon 3D platformer. Back from the PS1 days that they remade a few years back, and now it's got the shiny new graphics and voice acting. But from what I gather, they did get a lot of the original voice cast back.
Okay, that's cool. That's nice.
Chase up on this.
Yeah, Spyro's always fun. I always let Spyro. That and Crash Bandicoot were the standouts for me. Yeah,
that was the PS1 games.
Yeah,
and it's amazing how it still really holds up. But going back, a lot of the old Spyro cutscenes were delivered with a lot of venom. Characters would just get launched off screen, and there'd be no sort of frame they're on screen, next frame they're gone, sort of thing.
Wow,
it's like everything felt a lot more punchier than the newer one. So yeah, it's in some aspects it's a big improvement. A lot of characters have been revoiced to be arguably less offensive, in some it just feels like there's less feeling behind the voices. So
I mean, what was less offensive? So what? They had comedy accents.
There's a lot of stereotypes and comedy accents. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So it's you do have to sort of adjust. There are certain excuse me.
Yeah.
Comedy accents that are just offensive now. They're just not okay.
Yeah.
But others are fine. Italian is still okay, right? Everyone kind of enjoys that.
By God, one of the first levels is a comedy Italian level.
Oh, okay. Cool. Right, okay. Cool.
Yes. So.
All right. Okay, that's a fairly long comfy chair this time. But it was. We kind of did 6 weeks instead of 4. That probably is something to do with it. So that's probably why. All right, then let's wind up there. So bye from me.
Bye.